Hello guys, Pete Dahlgren here, building the Maris RC F86, and welcome back. I am getting ready to do the right side of this airplane, and I'm going to show you on this. I'm going to try to do this as live as possible to show you how I do these bigger sheets. And I know a lot of guys are kind of going, what the hell is he doing? But anyway, when you want a result like this, and you want to see this without having a lot of sanding. Of course, this area here, we're going to do this, but I want to explain what I'm doing here. And this is how I built a lot of my planes. Now, if you look here, these are sheets that are made, and I made them the same way I did on the tail here. And I prefer to go with a little bit wider sheet, and then I do this wet. And what I mean by that is to get these sheets to be really nice and perfectly flat in this, and I actually sand them before I put them on here. And I have a deal I'm going to show you because I'm going to be making more sheets, obviously, and we'll do that when we do the wings and this. We'll do that live, plus we have another one to sheet over there. And I want to show you guys the quick, painless way and how I get this and how I achieve my results. Now, the one thing I have talked about is tape. And to get these to sit right where they need to be, you're going to need a bunch of these clamps, guys. You can't do this without them. And the more you have, the better. I've got about 50 of them, and it's just how I do it. And if you look, everywhere there's a clamp, something's going on. But anyhow, these two pins I used on here, you trim this. This is where the airplane actually splits apart. So this is pretty critical that this be a very solid and strong piece here. So the way I'm going to do that is to actually do these bigger sheets, but I will have to plank in here. And it's going to be very similar to doing the nose. And there are certain things you're going to want to do when you get into these areas. You got to plank this area. Anytime you get a bend like this, you're going to have to plank it. There's no other real way to do it. And this, like I said, it's been lightly sanded, but it has not been full body work yet. And I'm going to explain that a little bit later, because there's kind of a flat spot in here, and I'm not going to oversand the fuselage. And the reason I don't do it that way is because the 3/32 sheeting that we're using on this airplane is the strength of this airplane. That frame is really great. The airframe is solid as a rock, but it's only as solid as you build it. And so balsa, once you glue it to all your frames, and they should look like they should be thoroughly glued, like in there. That's actually the seam which I put in there, and I popped a little hole in it, but I'll fix that. It's not a big deal. You're wanting to see your glue joints come out very similar to this, and make sure you glue it. I mean, once you've done it, this is strong, and it doesn't let go. Now, one thing you're going to notice, I shimmed the top of this rail with some 3/32, and then what I did here is I put a 1-inch strip, I ran it wild over the top to get it so that the canopy, it's basically a shim. And so I did it. You don't have to do it. I do it just because I want that canopy to fit with no gaps. And if I do it that way, then I'll run it wild on top of the actual canopy frame and do this. I'm not going crazy and sheeting the whole thing. I'll dress this up with some filler after I'm done here and make that nice. Or I'll just fill it up with some more pieces, sand flat, and glass over the top of this. But I'm not going to get too overly crazy about it, because we're not going to over sand this airplane. We're just going to build it to go. Now, I talked about getting and sanding all of these frames so they are completely and perfectly aligned. Be careful not to sand the shape of the airframe out of it. Make sure you're following it and taking your time. Don't round it off. And you want these frames, they will stick out just a little bit. You want them all to be done, and you need to use a longboard when you do that, guys. There's no other way to do it. You can do it rough you can rough sand it with a sander if you wanted to, but it's good. But we got a lot of planking we got to redo, and we got to fix up and finish up the tunnel area before we plank the nose and all that. Now, this piece is sitting here because I want this to, I'm going to water form this. And what I mean by that, I will soak this in hot water and ammonia, and you can damn near roll it inside of itself. And then I will put it on here, clamp it down, and then it will hold its shape. It distresses it. And it really does, it really is a cool way to do it. We do this on real airplanes all the time with 1/4-inch thick balsa when we're sheeting it with the plywood base with balsa over the top, and then another sheet of plywood over the top of it. It's stronger than steel that way. This is no different. We're going to be glassing it, but I want to remind you people that don't be relying on the fiberglass for strength of this airplane. Your strength is all in this skin, and it's extremely important that you keep as much of it as it is, and don't get too crazy with things, because you're going to wind up building a brick and not an airplane. So you want to make sure that what you're building here is going to be strong to begin with, and then it takes a long time, and it actually takes a little bit longer to do this way than it does to actually plank it. Now, planking is not a tremendously hard thing to do, and you want to be doing that with you want to be building this with the intention of it being an airframe that is going to be extremely strong. All these other things are just pure cosmetics at this point. Got a lot of work to do before we even think about putting any fillers on this or anything else. We still got parts to make in here, so that all matches. And guys, I'm going to fix that up with a little bit of Bondo when we're done. And those seams are going to disappear, and it's going to look really cool. I mean, and I do my filling before I do my glassing. And the reason I do it is because Bondo's porous. It'll accept any of the epoxies that we put over the top. It won't let go of it. And it's like, it's just a really good way to do it. And if you do get anything thin, then you can build it up a little bit more and make everything else just kosher with its build. So anyway, I'm going to get set up, and I'm going to start doing this and let you guys actually watch how I do this. And it's kind of a neat little process. And yeah, stay tuned.